Hey, Kablamo! What's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums. And today I'll be doing an album review on the latest Eminem album, Music to be Murdered by Side B. Or at least that's how he calls this album, anyways. So, I know a lot of people have probably already forgotten about this, but earlier in the year 2020, he released a surprise album, Music to be Murdered by, and it is an improvement from his two previous records, but still, nonetheless, pretty mediocre, pretty lackluster, what else do you expect? Now he's put out with a side B, which is not even a side B because it's a whole goddamn album. Another hour of material. And those material aren't even recorded during the Music to be Murdered by sessions. They're not even like leftovers or anything. They're actually recorded after the release of Music to be Murdered by because of all the very recent bars, the COVID bars and whatnot. So they're technically not side B. Technically, this is a brand new Eminem album. He's only calling it side B because the tracks on this thing are so mediocre. They're so lackluster. You know what? We'll just tack it on the last album, like it's a side B or something. But yeah, it's not really a side B. Let's get real with it. So, anyways, let me do a very, very quick recap of Eminem's career first. I mean, he starts off pretty strongly with the Infinite album, Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, which is widely praised as his best. We have the 8 Mile soundtrack within Lose Yourself, which is one of the best rap songs ever, still, in my opinion. We have the Eminem Show, which is personally my favorite Eminem album. I mean, it has so many amazing songs. It is Eminem at his creative peak with amazing beats, amazing performances, funny bars. We have funny, goofy, comedic tracks that also work, as well as the very aggressive, angry, sort of serious songs like Till I Collapse. And then Eminem's career started to go downhill. We have Eminem sort of dabbling into drug use, thus the release of Encore, which is just disgusting and stagnant and just very forgettable in general. Eminem tries to climb back out of his drug infused state in 2009's Relapse, which is surprisingly not that bad at all. In fact, I enjoy Relapse quite a bit. I think there are a lot of underrated gems on Relapse. And then immediately in the following year, he released Recovery, which is where Eminem sort of changes his lane from the good old, rap, the traditional funny haha rap music that he makes to the more poppy rap music. We have the Love the Way You Lie featuring Rihanna and the friggin' I'm Not Afraid. Uh, we have quite a few of those very poppy songs on Recovery. And yeah, a lot of those songs are just pretty drab and boring and not well written at all. But I still managed to enjoy quite a bit of Recovery. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's a part of my childhood. Because when this album's released, I was like 7 years old or something, and I still remember these songs not being played on radio, of course, but I somehow found these songs anyways, and I'm like, oh my god, Eminem, I gotta check him out. And then afterwards, he released Marshall Mathers LP 2, which is surprisingly pretty damn good. It's actually pretty damn good. Eminem, for some reason, lit a fire under his ass and came up with the wackiest songs he could possibly make in that period of time with amazing ear infesting strange beats. We have really aggressive performances. We have this Kendrick Lamar feature, which is really awesome. One of the tracks also feature the frontman of Fun, Nate something, I forgot. But it's a pretty damn good album. And that's pretty much it for Eminem's run of okay albums. Then he had reached an incredibly, impressively terrible point in his career with the release of Revival, which is still one of the worst albums of the 2010s. It is embarrassingly bad. The production is so poor. The mixing is so half baked. The bars are just one cringy bar after another, and the sampling is so rough. Might as well not call it sampling. They're just slapping samples on top of the beats in the most careless way possible. And then we have Kamikaze a year after, which is a little bit better, but nonetheless still very, corny. The beats are still not that great. There are still a lot of, stiff staccato flows, very angry Eminem. And then, of course, we have the Venom track. Venom, gotta go get him, Venom. Moving back to 2020, he released Music to Be Murdered By, which is a little better, but it's really not that great. So now we have side B. Will this thing be another bump in Eminem's career, or will this continue down the path of Eminem being mediocre and overrated and his music isn't relevant anymore? Unfortunately, the latter. The album starts off with Alfred intro, where I highly doubt Alfred Hitchcock had said something like this. Essentially, someone did like an Alfred Hitchcock impersonation, and it's like, ooh, this album you're about to listen to is the perfect accompaniment for the fear and murders of the woman and music and stuff. And it's so cringe. It's so unnecessary. What the hell is this thing? The second track, Black Magic, featuring Skylar Grey, is your usual overproduced, overblown, melodramatic, lovesick rap with very corny bars. I mean, we have corny bars all over this album. She cheats and I'd catch her like a common cold, and also another line where Eminem likens himself and another woman as like a pair of unlikely shoes, like a pair of like different Nike Airs or something. And of course, given that it's Music to Be Murdered By, the woman at the end of the song gets stabbed and dies. Like, there are so many moments in this album where there's a woman, step one, there's a woman, and then she just gets stabbed and dies. It's Next up we have Alfred's theme, where they sort of sampled the Alfred Hitchcock theme song, and not in a creative way whatsoever, but at this point I don't even care. And it's essentially Eminem in his, zany, energetic, crazy energy. And yeah, it sounds really frustrating. It sounds really tedious. Originally the theme song is really short, but to expand it into like over 5 minutes, it's just so repetitive. And again, with the dumb lyrics, parental advising every time I drop. Next up, we have Tone Deaf, and goddamn, this song is terrible. Tone Deaf is another one of those comedic songs where it's supposed to be kind of funny and very edgy, but truth be told, this track is kind of inoffensive. And yeah, it's just one really ticketing, sort of very rigid beat that goes tick tock throughout the whole song, and we get some of the most stagnant and robotic and dry instrumentals on the entire album. And again, Eminem with the stacked vocals, where he sings, but he realized that his vocals aren't really that good, so he stacks his vocals on top of one another like 50 layers, and it's so dense and so stiff, and it sounds tone deaf, like the title suggests. Next up, we have Book of Rhymes, where the first half of the track is basically a basic generic trap rap song. And we also get these lyrics like, I get a little testy when I'm mad, like balls testy, Like Eminem with his balls and penis and pee-pee poo-poo jokes on this album. Why? And then we have the second half of Book of Rhymes, which is a little better. The beat is a little better, I have to admit. We got some smooth, bitter pianos, and it pans out really well, but that doesn't excuse the very sloppy first half. Next up, we have the track Favorite Bitch, and I'm just gonna get this out of the way. The beat is actually pretty nice. I actually like the psychedelic keys and synths on this thing. The beat itself is not that bad. The chorus is a bit of a dud, however, and the lyrics, it's where Eminem kinda compares the genre of hip hop, this industry, to his first love. Like, this is his first love, this is his main passion, it's his main thing. And, he's sort of complaining on this track, wow, she's now a slut, she's cheating with all these different men now. And of course, at the end of the track, he's like, boom, you're dead. Of course, she gets stabbed and dies. And then there are these lines, I'm a stroller because you'll see me how I roll if you push me. Did he just call himself a stroller? I know it's clever, but it's fucking hilarious. The track Guns Blazing features Dr. Dre, and on this track, Eminem and Dr. Dre kind of raps about two women they hate. And that's pretty much the track, and the beat is not that bad, but the instrumentals are really empty and hollow, and they don't progress all that much. They're just kind of forgettable, I guess. Then we have the track Nat, spelled Gnat. I didn't even know that this word exists. The more you know. So we have these runny guitars and a light trap beat, and honestly, I don't really mind it at all, even though it's not really Eminem's thing, and he doesn't really sound that good over it, but it's whatever. And the lyrics, again, we got the COVID bars, my bars got COVID, I get them right off the bat, haha, bat, get it? And then we have these 8 million children, kill them, these bars. And then we have the Mike Pence reference, and then immediately after referencing Mike Pence, he said, no, I'm not referencing the vice president. But you just did. By admitting you're not referencing the vice president, you actually just did it. Next up, we have the track Higher, but there's a beat switch in the track Nat. It's okay, but that's the only good thing about the song. And Higher is almost like Eminem's song off of like College Dropout by Kanye West, with the very grand chorus, but of course in the grand chorus we get these stiff layered vocals again, which is really annoying and obnoxious. And then we have more cringy lines where he rhymes recliner with tree climber, and also the song is just really forgettable. The track These Demons is another forgettable trap rap song with a really forgettable beat, the drill. And we have these lines like, some are like bees, like some are like summer, are like bees to flowers. Why? Because some people find me appalling, but appalling, like pollen. Find me appalling? Are you serious? And then immediately afterwards, he says, ooh, I say a line, people are outraged. Oh my god, he just said a line about pollen. Oh, so offensive. Yeah. And then immediately afterwards, we have Key, an interlude. And goddamn, this has got to be like one of Eminem's worst interludes to date, because this is where Eminem sort of sings in a Muppet voice about hot women. The track She Loves Me sounds like Eminem is trying to make Relapse Part 2. In fact, the rest of the album at this point is where Eminem tries to do Relapse Part 2, I guess. And yeah, the instrumentals are very fatty, they're very saturated, the vocals are very stiff, and the singing is kind of bad. And the track Killer is this very generic club banger. And Eminem's Killer is just not very good. And then we have the last 3 tracks of the album, sans the interlude in the middle, last 2 tracks. And these 2 tracks are actually pretty good. First off, we have Zeus featuring White Gold, and the Sunburnt Piano's instrumental is actually not bad. White Gold actually gives a pretty okay performance, and Eminem doesn't try anything all that corny or cringy on this track, resulting in a really tolerable song. Then we have the album ending Discombobulated, uh, where once again he tries to do Relapse Part 2, but it kind of worked in his favor on this track because this track sounds funny, it sounds lighthearted. It really sounds like a song off of Relapse with the big banging drums, the incredibly shouty vocals, and then we have the goofy pianos, the stacked vocals, sure, kind of annoying, but putting that aside, this track is a pretty strong finisher to the album. So yeah, while it ended pretty nicely, it's still safe to say that a bulk of the album is corny, it's generic, the beats are stiff and robotic, a lot of corny, cringy bars here and there. It's just not a very good effort. Not a very good effort. My favorite track here is Zeus, and my least favorite is Tone Deaf. I am giving Eminem's Music to Be Murdered by Side B a strong 3 to a light 4 out of 10. So, have you listened to this album? From 1 to 10, how much did you rate it? Like it, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. I will review Rap Ferreira's Bob Son, Ash Nico's Demi Devil mixtape, Shame's latest album, probably. Yeah.